So here with me is Dr. Leilani Balmanis in the United States, Lynn University in Miami. We also have Dr. Ernesto Tavoletti from University of Macerata in Italy. They're not just professors who have participated multiple times, they're also the professors who have co-organized several Exculture symposia. Before COVID, we used to do them twice a year, face-to-face, and hopefully we'll be back online by the end of this year. So thank you so much for being here with me. Just to make sure that the sound is working, everything is working, could you please type your country and the local time in your time zone at this time in the comments or the Q&A window? So this way I will see that you can hear us, and I'm just curious to see where people are coming from. I see we have quite a few participants. So I see Turkey 6 p.m., Hungary 4 p.m., very good. Do we have any other countries? Miami Beach 10 a.m., Brazil 12, very good. I'm in North Carolina and it's 10 a.m. So Mexico 9 a.m., France 4 p.m., San Diego, oh, you woke up at 7 a.m. Very, very nice, kudos. Saudi Arabia, 6 p.m., Macerata, very nice, very nice. So very good. So we have quite a few countries and I see more and more New York, very nice. All right. Let me briefly tell you what to expect in terms of the logistics and the technical things that will happen in the coming days. And then I will ask maybe Dr. Tavoletti, if you can share with you some maybe tips or experiences from your students, maybe some suggestions for how to make it work best. But yes, by now, I assume all of you have received welcome letters from Exculture. It would have come from admin@exculture.org. And those emails contained links to the Exculture readiness test. So we require that all students complete the readiness test because one, the test is designed to be sort of a review of what you need to know for the project. So there will be questions about things like where do you find the deadlines, how the teams will be formed. And in most cases, you even have sort of like a hint, you know, it's section 3 of your training module. Go to that section to find the answer. So the tests are untimed. And so, as I said, designed to be more of a review than a test. But at the same time, they are very much a test as well. So there is a section where we test your English proficiency as much as we can. Obviously, it's not a perfect test, but at least we want to make sure that you have the working sort of command of English. Second, we would like to make sure that your email is working, that you receive the email. But then also we would like to make sure that you know how to communicate, you know how to how the teams will operate, that you know about some of the challenges we know in the past were challenges for the Exculture teams, and then you know what we know works and what doesn't so that you're more prepared. And then to be honest, we also look at whether or not you completed all of the questions. Again, our research shows that students who do not find the time or do not have the motivation or discipline to complete the test fully tend to be also the students who are not good team members. They miss team meetings if the team has them. They perhaps do not communicate, collaborate as actively as the team would expect them to do. And if so, we don't want those people on teams. Like you don't want those people on teams, right? So therefore, we would like you to all pass that test before we place you on teams. So we have about 2,000 people in the early track that already started and is now underway. And then the late track that you all are in starts on Monday. We expect another 4,500 plus or minus in that track. And so they will come from about 70 countries based on the location of the students. And then I think it's like 120 by the nationality. So some international students may be studying in different countries. So the next thing that will happen is the teams will be formed on Monday. So by the end of your day on Monday, so expect it kind of towards the end of the day, you will receive an email that will say, here is your team. And it will say, you know, you have 6 people on the team and you will see the list of the names, the list of the countries, and the email addresses for each of the person. And so all you will need to do in the first few days is complete a quick survey that will basically tell us if you've communicated with your team members. So just send an email to all of your team members, introduce yourself, and you know, decide on how you want to communicate as a team. Will you stick with the emails only, or maybe you will have a Zoom call once, or maybe even regularly? If you're going to use, I don't know, Facebook groups or WhatsApp groups or Slack or Trello or any other tools, completely up to you. What we will need from you is by Thursday, so it will be what, like 5 days from now or 6 days from now, we will ask you to complete a short survey where we will ask if you've communicated with your team members. And again, we hope that all of you will respond to those emails, all of you will be communicating. And if not, we will not be entirely happy. So if the team tells us that there is a team member who is not responding to the emails, that's not good. Now, if you will have team members on your team who are not actively participating, it doesn't happen often, but sometimes it does. Do make sure to let us know. So if the survey asks, have you communicated with this person? If you tell us and the whole team tell us that never, that person didn't respond to my emails, we will do something about it. We will reach out to that person to see what's going on. I don't know, maybe the person is traveling, or maybe the person is sick at this time, or maybe the person is in Ukraine, and as you know, the situation there is such that it may not be always possible to go online, on a short notice. So we will try to figure out what's going on, but if it looks like the person just doesn't care, is not motivated, is not disciplined to communicate with you, we will drop that person from the team and we'll put someone new on your team. Again, normally we don't have to do it, but if there is evidence that somebody is not doing their job, we will do something about it. And then from that point on, you will have a weekly, what we call progress survey. So every Wednesday, maybe Tuesday sometimes, you will receive an email, and I can show you what it looks like in a second. You will receive an email that will, let me open the file here. So let me show you what it looks like. You will receive an email that looks something like this. So let me just take one of them. Let me take this one maybe. So this is a very typical email. So here you will have a little review of what's going on in the project. If you have a new team member added to your team, sometimes we have some people joining a little bit late, like a week late, because the semester starts late in their country. You will know about that. We remind you that you can ask for coaching help. So we have trained former Exculture participants who completed training in how to resolve conflicts, provide feedback, things like that. So if you need their help, you will click on that link and it will allow you to fill out your details here. And we will assign the coach to your case. As I said, maybe provide feedback or maybe help with some difficult situations if you have that. Likewise, this semester, I will be available for you every week for 1 hour, essentially like office hours. I'll be just in front of the computer during that hour. If you have any questions, you can show up at that time and I'll talk to you. But then in addition, you have coaches available at any time and you can schedule a private meeting with them at any time, not just that specific 1 hour window when I will be available. In that email every week, you will also see the peer evaluations that each of your team members received last week. And so we would like to see them high. So if it's like 4 or 5, we are happy. If it's 3, we are getting a little nervous. But if it's 2 or below, that's where one of our administrators will contact you and say, hey, the team is not happy with you. What's going on? Do you need help or is there a problem? And then if you will not improve your performance, if your team is still not happy with you a week later, sadly, we will have to exclude you from the project. Again, out of almost 7,000 participants, it happens maybe with, 20 people total. Like it's a very, very small group. But, occasionally some people may not be very serious. And when that happens, if we do know about it, we will try to help. And if that doesn't help, we will do something about it. And so most importantly, you have your weekly progress survey here. You just click on this link. It will open the weekly progress survey. And I think I already completed that. So let me just open a different one so that you can see what it looks like. And so here you will have some questions about your week's assignment, that week's assignment. And then there will be a few more questions about what's going on in your team. Again, we would like to know so that if there is a problem, we can help you. And I'll just show you where you already obviously saw, the resource page and you know where you can find the deadlines, where you can find all of the client companies and things like that. So all of that is here. And I assume you have the password. If you don't, it's in the welcome letter that you received. But yes, on this resource page, you can see some training materials. More importantly, you have the schedule. As I said, each week there will be a survey due on Sunday. Then you will have your client companies. One more will be added today. I was a little late. some of our personnel are located in Ukraine. And so for the last few days, obviously, they were not able to do much work. And so we've been a little bit slower in the last few days than normal. So we have reshuffled the workload among the people outside Ukraine. So we have administrators in other countries. So those of us in the United States do a little bit more work. And then we also recruited some of our coaches to help with these tasks in Brazil, in South Africa. So we are back on track, but there will be one more company that you can choose from. And so for each of those, you just click on the challenge instructions. You will see the list of things that they need help with, but then also importantly, you will see the list of tasks that they need you to work on. And so there will be, when you get to the challenge, like these guys here need help with market analysis, competition analysis, then they need ideas with marketing right here. And then there will be a few additional questions related to operations management, such as contact leads, entry mode, things like that. And so all you need to do, just follow these steps, follow these instructions, see what's due each corresponding week, and basically go there. At the end, you will submit your final reports. They will be due, if I remember correctly. In fact, let me check when the due date is. I think it's April 20 something. So let's see what the deadline for the final report, 24th. So at that time, you will be done with the project, but then it will be about 2 weeks or so for us to read your work, to evaluate your work, and then to select the winners. And then once that is done, we will announce the winners, but also we will send you the certificates, your performance reviews, and your recommendation letters that you can then use when you're applying for jobs or applying to graduate programs. So that's in very simple terms what happens, how things will go in the coming days. Dr. Tavoletti, any things that you would like to add beyond what I said in terms of your words of wisdom? And then students, meanwhile, if you want to put your questions in Q&A or chat, likewise professors. And if we have any professors who have participated before and have a lot of experience, please raise your hands. We will add you to the panel here so that we can share our experiences.
Yeah. So I want to add something. In the beginning, when you make connection with your teams, what I've found successful for my kids or for my students is that they really engage and they really invest in getting to know their teammates. I've also found that the students who have not taken the time to do that in the beginning and are going through that as they're completing the project, it really takes away from actually doing the work. So in the beginning, you'll have a week or two to just invest in getting to know each other, trying to sort out each other's schedules, trying to figure out which is the best way to communicate based on those schedules. Having like a group platform in the past, my students have successfully used Google Docs. I mean, for you, it's whatever you choose. But I know that my kids have been successful in using that. And then also having a WhatsApp page, because then they can basically, like text each other throughout the day if they have a quick question. So my recommendation to you, I highly recommend that you establish connection immediately within the first few weeks. Make it be a live connection if at all possible, because I know some of you guys are, it's daytime over here and it's the middle of the night in China or in Singapore, but really making that initial contact and making it a point to get to know each other and create communications strategies, that helps immensely for the rest of your semester.
Yep, very true, very true. There is a very good question from Eduardo about some of the links not opening. So there was a day about 3 days ago when, as I said, when the war in Ukraine broke out, one of our assistants administrators is in Ukraine. And so we had to quickly find help and recruit some additional help from other countries to help us with the work. And so the new person accidentally deleted the Dropbox folder to which the challenge instructions were linked. And so for a while, the system would try to log in, to connect to the file, and it says the file has been deleted. So we noticed that right away, restored the folder, so it should all be working just fine now. So if you tried to access the files, I think it was like 3 days ago. So if you haven't tried since then, it should be working now. So try now, by the way, and see if it works. If it still gives you the message, a file deleted, clear your memory or just refresh the page. So it may be just simply looking up the old cached page. But once you refresh it, like just hit Control F5, refresh page, it should fix the problem. So to my knowledge, everything's working just fine. So there was like an 8-hour period when it didn't, but once we learned about the problem, we fixed it. So it should be all good. Dr. Tavoletti, any words of wisdom from your experience?
Well, you already said very much. Just sending me greetings from whole Europe, because we also have a physical dimension, not just a virtual one. And let me say thank you to Thus for managing this project with the usual generosity during so difficult times. I do not have a nice beach on my back, but an old building from here in Italy. What I would like to just say is something in relation to motivations. I think we have two sort of dangers here with the project. You might meet people that are not very motivated, and this might well happen. But it is actually part of the project that you learn how to deal with people that are less motivated. So it is life. In life, there are people that are very motivated in the work environment, in education, and less motivated. So if you have not very motivated people, this is actually good news, because you will learn how to deal with them. But there is also another danger that might come from other countries out of the US, that you might be overly motivated. So maybe you think this project is fantastic for you, you are so excited, you have been training so much, and then on the other side, you find someone that does not care at all. So you might be very disappointed and very frustrated about that. Again, you should not do this danger of falling into a state of frustration or demotivation, but this is actually part of the project. So it is experiencing a real work-life situation. So in every circumstances, either you meet excellent and motivated students or less motivated, this is actually good news for you. It is also a very, I would say, we will have fun during these weeks, because we meet new companies, new instructors, new colleagues. So let's also be sort of positive, with a positive attitude, even during these times that are so difficult for all of us and are tearing us apart, because we are actually following the news very, very much, all of us, and we are in a mood of anxiety. So Exculture is even more important for all of us during these times. In relation to the technicalities, I think Thus has already been reporting most of them. This is all what I wanted to say. Thank you, Thus.
Yep. Yeah, I would like to, so I see there is a good question that I will answer in a second, but I would like to second Dr. Tavoletti's point that the value of Exculture, sort of the learning from Exculture, comes from doing it. So it's not a class, you all are students and you all have professors who come to you in a classroom or in Zoom now maybe and deliver a lecture. And you listen to the lecture, you read your book, textbook, and then you do homework or test, and that's how the course works. Here, it's all about the process. So it's learning by doing. And so I don't know how many teams you worked on in your life, but I have worked on many with my colleagues as co-authors when we write, papers, books, do research, but also on the business side, I have been a member of many, many teams. And so the value of Exculture comes from, it's almost like a time machine in a way that it allows you to see what's in the future for you when you will be completing projects in global virtual teams as part of your job. Just like in Exculture, you will have, at least I have always had people on the team who are too shy to speak, or maybe too bossy and talk all the time and don't listen to anyone. Someone who is from a country where the holidays are not aligned with my holidays. So when I would like to work, they have a day off. And when they want to work, I have a day off. Maybe people whose cultural values are different from mine. Maybe people in different time zones, so it's very difficult to schedule a meeting. Maybe people who don't care. In fact, I don't think I've ever had a team where there would be someone, where there wouldn't be someone who is not, motivated enough to participate, as we call them, free riders. And so the beauty of Exculture is that it shows you all of that now when the price of a mistake is relatively low. So even if you do not figure out how to deal with the problem now, it's still okay, but you will know what to expect when you do it as part of your job. You will have tried different strategies and you kind of have a better sense now of what might work or what wouldn't work. So when it happens in the future, you know what to expect. And to be honest, again, I know it sounds horrible, but to be honest, I always feel a little almost like, upset when I ask my students, in a lecture, so is everything going fine? And then a few students say, oh, I have such a great team. Everyone loves everyone. Everyone is working so hard. It's so much fun. This is going so well. And I'm kind of, happy on the one hand, but on the other hand, I think, oh, poor you. That's the first and only time in your life when it happens. Believe me, every next time there will be always something wrong. So when someone comes to me and says, I have this team member from, I don't know, Guatemala or the United States who is not working very actively, what should I do? Again, I kind of feel sorry for that student, but in that moment, I think, well, it's good that it happened now because you will see that again and again and again. So figure out what to do about it. Maybe send another email, maybe try to talk to that person, maybe confront that person. So try different things, see what works for you because it will happen again for sure. And so yes, Exculture is not an exam. So yes, we will want to see your reports at the end. We will evaluate them. But the truth is, it's not about the outcome. It's not about that final report. It's about how you get there. And so I tell my students, it's an exercise. And if in the process you will make enemies on 6 continents, but you still complete the project, I'm happy because you will have learned something new. You will know things that you don't know now. So again, hopefully you all will have a good experience. But when some things go wrong, that's actually good too. So that's, that's the whole idea, not the whole idea, but that's where the value from this experience comes from. Now, there is a very good question from someone. Is there any placement criteria in the team? Is it based on the results of the readiness test? Actually, you know what, I'll show you what it's, how it's done. So I will actually show you the real, behind the scenes. So when forming teams, let me open here my real, so I'll open the real file. I'll just make sure that it's not, the emails are not displayed because I don't want, to show you 5,000 emails or 7,000 emails. But so when we form teams, we try or we do several things or follow several criteria. So one, this is what the file looks like. So that's from the last semester. So we have all these thousands of people here. And so for each person here, we will have information such as, name, professor's name, what they got on the readiness test, country they come from. And then for each week, I keep here information, how they did like each week. Like, for example, this person here, whatever the name is, the peer evaluations were 3.5, self-evaluations were actually also quite low too. So this person at least knew that something's going on wrong. So the person is reasonably confident that he or she can complete the project, very motivated, enjoys the team, everything's fine. And then I see peer evaluations actually for this person got lower. So I'm not happy about that, but that's what it looks like. When it comes to teams, this is what it looks like. Again, you will not see all this messy Excel files. You'll see a nice email with a clear list, but that's basically the teams from my point of view. So I have about 1,000 teams here. So this team is all MBA students, global virtual team. They have people from the Czech Republic, apparently Russian originally, but then now in Czech Republic, Kenya, France, the United States, and Pakistan. And so that's team 123. And so as you can see, some teams have 5 people, some teams have 6 people, and we even had some teams that had 7 or even 8 people. Like here, team 224, for example, 247. So 7, 8 people, 1 from Finland, 1 from Ghana, 1 from the United States, then another one from the United States, probably from a different state, Taiwan, France, and Turkey. And so that's what I see. Now, when we form teams, we try to match you by age. So you will be more or less of the same age and more or less of the same experience, work experience. And then we will probably try to, as long as possible, match you on sort of managerial experience. So if you're an MBA student, most of your team likely will be MBA students. If you're an undergraduate student, most of your team will be undergraduate students. The reason I say most is because sometimes there may be some undergraduate students who are like 45 years old, has rich experience, has his own business or her own business, just never went to college and now tries to do a college degree. And so those people may be placed on some team members with MBA. And vice versa. There may be some countries where, you know, what they call masters is something that is different than what we call masters in the United States. So they may be, I don't know, like 19 years old, just because the system is such that they call masters. So we may put some of those people, you know, on teams with somewhat younger participants. Otherwise, we're trying to maximize team diversity. So we try to have everyone from a different country. You likely will have 2 students from the United States just because it's such a big country and we have so many participants, but they will likely be like one from North Carolina and one from California, for example. Other than that, we don't pay attention to your readiness test. So it's not like, you know, those who did well are matched with those who are well. If you didn't pass the test, you will not be placed on the team, period. If you passed the test, we don't really look at the result when we form the teams. So you will have maybe some people who got perfect 100 on the test, somebody who got 90 and somebody who got 85. As long as they pass, they will make it on the team. We also don't pay attention to gender, to, you know, male, female. Most of the time it will be a more or less equal mix. So this semester it's literally like almost perfectly 50-50. But again, randomly, just by chance, it may be possible that maybe you'll have 4 men and 2 women, or maybe 1 woman and 5 men, or something like that. But most of the time it will be about half and half. And the only other matching I will do this semester, and that's for the first time we do it, and that actually goes back to what Dr. Tavaletti said. But anyway, we have a special track this semester. Let me show you that you see what it looks like. That's Alibaba Track, as we call it. So one of the clients is the Alibaba company, the marketplace, AliExpress, if you buy anything, so that's the company. And they gave us 4 challenges from 4 different companies that use Alibaba. And so in full disclosure, this partnership has been facilitated by Milan Technical University in Italy. And so there will be about 20 students from Italy who are required to be on Alibaba teams. And so I will be sending out an email later today asking you which client you would like to work on. Most of you probably don't know yet. So you want to take a little bit more time. You would like to maybe attend the webinars with the client companies. You probably want to talk to your team before you decide, and that's perfectly fine. But if we have any people who definitely and guaranteed would like to work on an Alibaba challenge, those people will be matched with those 21 or 22 Italians from Milan, just because the instructor there requires them to be on Milan. So there will be a little matching going on like that. At the same time, and this is very important, we will not match people by team preference in all other cases. So it will be only like 20 teams out of 1,000 where I will specifically try to match people with interest in Alibaba. Everybody else, it will be random because nobody has any final decisions yet. And to be honest, it would be not only impossible logistically to match people by their company interest, it probably would be also imprudent because, as I said, by now you have little information about the company. You may change your opinion. You may go to the webinar and you will like some presenter, maybe from, I don't know, Brickle or maybe from Sell Adventures, and you decide to work on that one at that time. So therefore, we kind of leave it more or less random as far as the assignment goes, and then you as a team will have to decide which client you choose. Importantly, once you choose your client, you can change them anytime. So if you decide to work on, let's say, Alibaba first, but then later on you decide to switch to Nova Brink or Brickle, you can. You don't even need to let us know. There will be, in a weekly survey, you will have your sort of client company selection, and you just put the check mark. And if you change it from week to week, that's perfectly fine. So it's not a problem. You can do that. But yeah, that would be the only sort of, criteria that we use when forming the teams. Yes. And the reason I said Dr. Tavaletti, when he said overly enthusiastic, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't share that with students, but I know we have some professors, so I would like to say that. So generally, we want students to be as involved as possible. So we want students to work as hard as possible. Likewise, we want professors to be as involved with students as possible. You know, like for example, in my own lectures, I would have a little, you know, a few minutes of each lecture dedicated to Exculture. I would ask how things are going. If there are any questions, I would answer them. I would look at these performance reviews every week, and if there is a student whose peer evaluations are low, I'll probably contact the student and, you know, see what's going on. So we want all professors to do something like that. But we have some universities and some professors who take it to an extreme. And so the Milan Polytechnic, you know, those students, they are like monsters. I mean, they work extremely hard. They even have like some dedicated personnel who coach them how to do things. And so sometimes what happens, I've had that complaint at least twice in the previous semesters, where students say, hey, I'm happy that those Italians are so good, but they do all the work. They leave nothing for me. I mean, like, I want to work on it, and they already did it. And they did it so well that I cannot really, you know, so sometimes, so I'm not sure if I'm not happy about it, because we kind of want this, but yeah, sometimes you may have some people who are extremely enthusiastic, extremely hardworking. And so to the point that maybe they think they know all the answers. But again, you will probably have people like that in a company. If you've had a job, you probably had some people like that. So learn how to deal with them, because
remember,
yes, especially Milan, especially Milan.
Yeah, especially
remember
Milan,
us,
yes.
we had challenges with Singapore Management University.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Also very, talking about dragons, you know, they're also very assertive. They're very organized. They're dedicated. So if you're on a team with students from Singapore Management University and the professor that was there, oh, wow, a lot, very high level stuff.
Yeah, yes. So, but again, in global virtual teams, and these days, especially with pandemic now, you go to any company and there will be people working sort of online from all around the world. You will have not only different cultural experiences or backgrounds, not only different time zones, but some with different institutional environments. Maybe in some countries, it's a little bit more relaxed, or maybe at some subsidiaries, it's a little bit more relaxed. Maybe some of the team members have bosses, you know, supervisors who are a little bit stricter, and others are more lenient. So I think I'm probably around in the middle, but we have some professors who are extremely, extremely demanding. And we may have some professors who are a little bit more sort of laid back. And you will see that sort of in a way how the team members take the project. So again, some of them will be much, much more prepared. Like you have some participants here from elite universities where, you know, people are extremely, extremely competitive. And so, yeah, I mean, it's one of the, you know, aspects of learning in this project, you know, figuring out all those different work styles, all those different sort of personalities, cultures, and things like that. I see there is a note from Eduardo who says that he still cannot answer.
No, he figured it out.
Oh, he did. Okay,
One of his friends actually was able to get in from another country, and it's probably his computer. It's probably got a cookie in it that's not preventing him from going in.
Yeah, so there is a question from Safa. If two groups can select the same company, yes. We have about, I think it's 10 companies this semester, and we have 1,000 teams. So on average, there will be about 100 clients, 100 teams per client. Some of them will be more popular than others. So sometimes there will be some teams that may have 200 teams working on the challenge, and some may have only 50. But more or less, usually it's more or less balanced. And by the way, importantly, I will tell you how many teams chose which client after the second week once we know. And so it's sort of in your interest to select the less popular companies, because we will be selecting the winners in each client's category. And so if you know, if somehow there was a very unpopular company that had only one team working on it, that team, I guess, automatically would be the winner. It never happened before. It would be always, you know, at least like 30, 40 teams. But you sort of don't want to go with the most popular because the competition is higher there. But overall, yes, you choose whichever one you like. Maybe it's the one that you think you can help most. You know, you have brilliant ideas for the problem, you know, solving. Or maybe
and for professors, it's so, you know, like when I teach, you know, 30 students and 20 of them pick the same company, it's a little boring. You know, we're listening to 20 presentations of the same thing. So yeah, I mean, try to get diverse. Try something that is unique and unusual for you. You know, like Will Stairs, I think is really cool and unique, or Dark Drones is really cool and unique. You know, pick something that's very like eclectic for your tradition.
One more thing that I forgot to mention, webinars. So we will have company introduction webinars. If you go to your resource page and click here, it will open the page with the webinar schedule. And so again, there are a few more, so I'll add the full list probably today. But so for each of the client companies, there will be an introduction webinar. We've had meetings with some of those companies already in the early track, and we'll have more of them in the coming weeks. And so like, for example, Differ will have a webinar on Tuesday. And so you can click here, it will take you to the registration page, and you will, participate in that. Historically, out of thousands of students, we have a few hundred attending each webinar, so not everyone can attend, and that's okay. We record the webinars and you can watch them later. Ideally, we would like you to attend so that you can meet the client company, representative founders, managers, CEOs, ask your questions, talk to them, especially when it's a webinar in the middle of the semester. Sometimes we have 2 or even 3. You can then maybe share some of your ideas, get feedback. So that's very useful. But we know also, no matter what time the webinar is at, you may be at school at that time or at work, or maybe sleeping already or sleeping yet. And so if you cannot attend live, that's fine. You can always watch the recording. So, but we will have meetings. So have had already several meetings this semester. We'll have many more in the coming weeks. So when you can, please do attend those meetings. It's your opportunity to meet your client. Second, even though we sort of select the winners, again, don't worry too much about winning per se. So there are many other benefits that you get in addition to experience. So often what happens is that the clients look at the reports, and then often they say, oh, I really like this one. Can I meet these people? Or maybe even, can I offer them an internship or maybe a job? We've had cases where people did such a good job that the company would say, hey, would you like to be our local representative? Maybe you can literally set up shop and be our distributor in the region. So that happens all the time. Some companies even specifically advertise and say, hey, treat it as a job interview. So we will observe your performance and then maybe offer jobs to several people in our company. Again, it's not like everybody will get a job offer. Usually that's a small number out of a very large number of participants. But the point here is that if you do the job well, if you impress the company enough, not only you will gain experience, not only you will have the certificate and the recommendation letter from us that will say that you completed a real life consulting project for a real company, working with people from all around the world. But maybe possibly you will even be invited from that, by that company to join them, to join their team. So look at it more as just, part of your class requirement that you need to do. Look at it more as essentially an internship, right? So, yeah.
And also don't forget, Vas, to remind them that of those of you guys who actually do well and you surface to the top 20% of the group of 7,000 students, I believe this year, or no, 15,000 students this year, correct, Vas?
I think by now it's like 80,000 that have taken part in the project.
Well, no, just for this year.
Oh, for this year. So we had 7,000 in the, so last semester we had 7,000 and expect about that same number this semester. So yeah, it's over 10,000 a year. So yeah, whatever the number.
So we're going to be hosting, hopefully we'll be back to the global symposiums.
Yes.
So, and we have not yet selected a location. We are looking at 3 different locations, and just to whet your appetite, we're looking at the University of District of Columbia. We're potentially looking at doing a cruise in the Caribbean with one of the main cruise lines coming out of Port Everglades or Port Miami in South Florida. Or we're also looking at Asia. There's a country, Thailand and Asia are actually entertaining the idea of hosting a global symposium. So we will be choosing 200 students from around the world to participate. This is Macerata, Dr. Vas is showing.
Trying to show some photos from Macerata. So
yeah, so this is the one that Dr. Tavoletti and I hosted in, 2019, Ernesto? Yeah. 4 years ago.
Yeah, so 18, some of the 2018. Photos, yeah, so that was in 2018, I believe. So what was so beautiful about Macerata, I mean, like that's the kind of venues.
I don't know, Vas, if you're allowed to show you this photos
I'll
at the
just
university.
I'll go to the, so that's the.
I'm joking. In Italy we can, but I don't know in the US.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess, yeah. So in Italy, the mayor's office has,
Oh, there's Vol.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah. So that's
no,
our
there's
Ukrainian
Vol.
IT guy. So who is now somewhere. Well, anyway, not a very.
And Jevany. Oh.
Yeah, and Yev here as well.
Yeah.
So Yev is basically took up arms and fighting somewhere around Kiev now.
There is also an amazing video with a team down here somewhere.
So, but yeah, so this is a meeting from Italy, and then we had another one in Canada the year after. So let's see, Calgary. So you can go here and take a look at some of the photos. So hopefully we'll be, and we've had about, I don't know, like 15 of them before we before COVID started. So hopefully we'll have more in the coming, this sometime.
But for the global symposium is really dedicated solely for Exculture. Yeah. So we are anticipating that we'll be having another one in 2023 and hopefully thereafter. So it would behoove you, if you're interested in doing a study abroad experience, to really do well. And it's not just completing your project with excellency. It's really learning how to communicate, learning to get along with your team and to collaborate well, and just being active and engaging. And we measure all of that. Your peers measure all of that. And then your professors actually observe that. And if they recommend you, we will actually send you an application to apply. Again, we only select 200 students at most. But if you're among those who apply and we select you, I mean, it's going to be a great experience for you. So just to motivate you, that's something to look forward to.
Yes, if I can thus, yes, I would recommend work hard, but remember it is not a contest. So let's not be obsessed about the peer evaluation that you get, for example, because if you are working, if you are doing your task for certain, you will be among those that will be invited, I think. So you do not have to be obsessed about getting extremely high peer evaluation from your colleagues, because this is just part of the evaluations that you get. And we know that there can be some biases in peer evaluation due to language and other things. So please be relaxed about peer evaluation. Peer evaluation is in order to see if, for example, we have missing students in the team so that we have to replace maybe them, or maybe we had to add people to the team, but use them in a fair way without being collusive about them and about not being obsessed. Because we know there can be dynamics in team, so we have to have a relaxed attitude in relation to peer evaluation, I would say. I don't know what you think.
Very true, very true. So yes, don't worry too much about winning, and don't worry too much. As I said, let's say if you have a team that you think is not a perfect team, that's okay. It's not a problem. It's not like your grade will be affected by that. As long as you get good peer evaluations, as long as your team produces the report, at least in my class, you will get a good grade, A or whatever system you use, 10 or 100. So as I said, it's an experience. It's not an it's not an exam. So it's very important to enjoy it and to have fun. And many people do have fun. First of all, we do have a lot of sort of non-work related events. So especially for the younger participants, so we organize, cooking shows, country tours virtually, but then also many team members develop close relationships. Like for example, back in Canada, we had a team of former participants who started a business together, some sort of an app that they wrote. And so they came to Calgary for a business meeting, but also to the symposium. We had people who fell in love and got married. And so again, it's not something I necessarily promote, but who knows? You can become close friends. You may become future business partners. You may, help each other with finding jobs. You may even visit each other, I don't know, as you travel around the world. It seems like we are now back to the stage where hopefully we will be able to travel. So yeah, do have fun, make friends around the world, learn about their cultures. And, as you do that, also try to write that report together. There is a question from someone, can you give us more information about report 1, 2, and 3? I'm not sure if the student completely or fully understood sort of what that 1, 2, 3 is, but you will write only one report. And let me just show you what it might look like. So I'll just, I don't know, open one randomly. For example, here, Nova Brink, it's a company that makes toys. So they've been making toys for like 70 or 80 years or 100 years. And so this is a very typical challenge. You will see one like this for all companies. So there is a little bit information about the company. You will have a little bit more, you know, like how they make those toys, what kind of toys they make. And then there will be 3 sets of questions or 3 report sections. Most of them have 3, and most of them sort of have a similar set of questions. Like here, they would like you in the first section to talk about the industry and competition. So you will analyze the industry, the market, the competition, who else makes toys, strengths, weaknesses. You need to think about where else they can sell the toys. So it's a Brazilian company. They sell currently toys mostly in Latin America, but they would like to expand into new markets. And maybe you think the United States is the best market for them, or maybe Germany. And so you will describe that market, you know, preferences, customs, maybe also competition in that market. And so things like that. Then for the report section 2, this particular company wants you to focus on marketing. Again, most clients ask you to work on marketing in section 2, but then again, it depends. It may be a somewhat slightly different list of questions. But yes, here, Nova Brink wants you to think about the best promotion channels, like should we advertise on TV or on social media, or maybe in magazines, or maybe trade shows? What should be the message? How do we present ourselves? And maybe even design some samples of promotional materials, you know, like script for a TV ad, or a draft of an ad that you can use in Facebook, for example, ad campaigns and things like that. And then they want your help with some operations management issues, such as, you know, other things like pricing strategy, you know, how should we price our products, certification. Let's say you say that we should sell the toys in Germany. Do we need to get any special certification, like, I don't know, safety or quality or anything like that? Trade regulations, again, are there any rules about that? And logistics, you know, how do we ship the product there? By air, by sea, by train, and so on. And then many companies, including this one, they even say, hey, why don't you put your proposal to a real life test? So you're saying that, let's say, Germany is the best market, and you are saying that this is the best message and this is the best way to present ourselves. Why don't you try to find a local, I don't know, representative, distributor, retailer who might be willing to buy our product? And if you do, if you show us that it really works and you facilitate that contract, we will even give you 5% of the contract, you know, basically aftermarket commission of the first contract, so you can even make some money. And so in my opinion, yes, you can make a lot of money from that as well. But even more importantly, you will have on your resume that you facilitated a transaction between a Brazilian, in this case, toy maker, and let's say a German, I don't know, distributor or retail store chain. And so when you have that, when you will be applying for jobs, that will be a very, very strong argument for your future employers. You will say, I completed a project with people from all around the world, and we even were successful at helping the company establish its presence in, for example, Germany. So you don't have to do that. This is perfectly optional. But if you try, you will learn something, you will better understand how it works, and maybe you will even get paid for this and, you know, have something on your resume. So it's 1 report per team, but there are 3 sections to that report. So you don't have to write 3 reports. All right, so I think I've completed all of the points that I wanted to cover. Dr. Baumanis, Dr. Cavaletti, any other comments? All right, well then, good luck, have a nice weekend, and wait for that email with your team members on Monday. All right.
Have fun.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.